In life, there are many smart, talented, creative people, but then fail. Not because they lack knowledge, but because they lack the most important thing: discipline. Talent can give you a head start faster than others, but without discipline, everything will stop halfway. On the contrary, ordinary people who are persistent, steadfast, and know how to discipline themselves will sooner or later go further than geniuses. The following story will prove that. This is the journey of a young man named Daniel, who once failed miserably because of lack of discipline, but then completely transformed and became a shining example for thousands of others. In a bustling city where people were always racing against time, there lived a young man named Daniel. He was born into an ordinary family, neither rich nor poor. Daniel was bright and sharp-minded, but since childhood, he carried one fatal weakness: a lack of discipline. He often started new things with great excitement, but could only keep up for a few days. Then, he would quickly abandon them and chase after new distractions. Daniel wanted to learn the guitar, but after a week of practice, the instrument gathered dust. He once promised himself to study Japanese, but after a month, the books were left untouched on the shelf. He was enthusiastic about working out, but after a few rainy days, his running shoes were thrown into a corner. His father often reminded him, "Son, intelligence is a gift, but discipline is the strength that will carry you to success." Daniel would only laugh, not taking it seriously. Deep down, he thought that as long as he was clever enough, everything would work out. When he entered university, Daniel believed that intelligence and creativity would make him stand out from the crowd. At first, he did. He was outspoken in discussions, full of ideas, and was praised by professors. But as time passed, the pressure grew heavier. Projects, assignments, and exams piled up. His classmates, not necessarily the smartest, studied consistently, sticking to their schedules. Meanwhile, Daniel procrastinated, stayed up late playing games, missed deadlines, and told himself, "I'll do it tomorrow." In the end, after his first year, his grades collapsed. From being a promising student, he dropped to average. When he received his transcript, he was shocked. His professor looked at him and said, "You have talent, but you let your lack of discipline defeat you." That night, for the first time, Daniel stayed awake not because of games, but because of regret. He remembered his father's words, "Discipline is strength." This time, the words were no longer advice. They cut into his heart like a blade. One morning, while sitting hopelessly in the library, Daniel met Mr. James, a retired track athlete who now worked as the school librarian. Mr. James noticed Daniel slumped at a table. "Young man, you look lost," he said. Daniel sighed and told his whole story. He had talent, but no discipline, and now he was failing. Mr. James listened quietly and then smiled. "You know, when I was young, I wasn't the fastest runner, nor the strongest, but I had discipline. I woke up at 5 a.m. every day, trained whether it rained or shined. Over the years, discipline carried me to the gold medal, while those more talented than me quit halfway." The words struck Daniel like lightning. For the first time, he saw the difference between talent and discipline. Talent might give you a head start, but discipline takes you to the finish line. From that day on, Daniel decided to change. He began with something small, setting his alarm at 6 a.m. and refusing to snooze it. The first mornings were torture. The bed seemed to chain him down. His eyes weighed heavy. But he remembered Mr. James's words, "Quit once, and you'll quit forever." So he forced himself up. He divided his studies into time blocks and forced himself to finish them no matter how bored he felt. He exercised daily, logging every step of his progress. Every time he felt like procrastinating, he told himself, "I don't need motivation, I need discipline." After a month, Daniel felt the difference. He was more alert, remembered better. After 3 months, his grades improved noticeably. For the first time, he was praised not only for his intelligence, but also for his progress. But the road was never smooth. In his third year, Daniel faced a massive research project, so challenging that many students gave up halfway. The workload was overwhelming, and only discipline could see it through. His group had 3 teammates. At first, everyone was enthusiastic, but after a few weeks, 2 quit and 1 barely contributed. All eyes turned to Daniel, expecting him to quit too. But he didn't. Daniel stuck to his habits, waking up early, planning every step, working consistently day after day. In the final weeks, he stayed up late, but he never missed a single goal. Finally, when they presented, the professor said in amazement, "Daniel, I didn't expect you to complete something this complex. What brought you here wasn't intelligence, it was discipline." By his final year, Daniel had completely transformed. He was no longer the smart boy who failed, but a young man with steel-like discipline. He graduated with honors and won a scholarship to a prestigious graduate program. Holding his diploma, Daniel's eyes welled up. He remembered the lazy days of lying in bed, living without discipline. If not for meeting Mr. James, his life would have gone down a very different path. Years later, Daniel became a young lecturer who inspired students. In every class, he often said, "You can be smart, you can be creative, but without discipline, all of it is just a seed that will never grow." Discipline is the sunlight, the water that nourishes success. He told his own story, no exaggeration, no decoration, only truth. And every time, many students were moved to tears because they saw themselves in his journey. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. Talent may give you a fast start, but only discipline will carry you across the finish line. Daniel's story proved one timeless truth. Discipline is the greatest strength. Whoever possesses it will never be defeated. Daniel proved that intelligence alone isn't enough. Motivation isn't enough. What carries a person to the finish line is not luck, but daily discipline. Waking up early when others are still asleep, working when others procrastinate, and staying persistent when others give up. Discipline is the only bridge between dreams and reality. And if you master discipline, no challenge will be too big, no goal will be too far. Always remember, he who controls himself controls his future. If this story touched your heart, like to help spread this inspiration to more people, comment your thoughts about discipline and how it has shaped your life. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful and inspiring stories. Start building discipline in your own life today, because sometimes that one decision can change your entire future.